Hello everyone, Crystal here. Yesterday, Nintendo took all of us off guard by dropping a brand new trailer for New Horizons. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm going to include the link to it down in my video description. During the introduction, Mr. Takahashi mentioned the trailer back in June and how this video is essentially just covering what was announced. That being said, this trailer actually does show so much more, so I want to do another step-by-step analysis on it. Because I already did do an analysis on both the first trailer we saw and the gameplay footage from E3, we've already covered a lot of this stuff. I'm going to be focusing primarily on the new stuff, so if you see me not talking about something, chances are I've already actually talked about it. Jumping right in, I want to take a moment to recognize how polished the game looks in comparison to when we first saw it 3 months ago. It's very clear they're working hard on it behind the scenes. This next scene is very interesting as we get our first glimpse of our mode of transportation, a seaplane actually, able to land on, of course, both land and water. There's also a dock with a nearby office that has a sign reading Dodo Airlines, and of course, dodos being flightless birds, Nintendo's having a bit of fun here. We also get to see what I believe to be the island flag, which looks like it just has a default pattern on it at the moment. They show some of the island scenery in the next shot, including some pansies which look very different from their previous iterations. Another interesting thing in this scene is we see a waterfall along a cliff, and then further along the same cliff we actually see a gap. This once again is maybe giving me false hope that dual layer towns are going to be making a comeback. So I'm gonna go slightly out of order here and go ahead and say that we see a whole host of new villagers in this trailer, including Bill, Tammy, Filbert, Lily, Butch, Rold, Antonio, Pee-wee, Fauna, Peanut, Rosie, Angus, Wolfgang, and Lopez. And they all look great. Just some little details that I noticed. There are boxes in front of the bulletin board that are not present later on. I'm wondering if they're decorations or if you actually can get some basic stuff from them. There's also a tree stump with some tools on it, which could also just be decoration. Also, could we just take a moment to appreciate how many birds are on that bulletin board? Clearly, we're behind on some news. When Tommy hands you the tent, it comes all rolled up, which I think is a really cute touch. Nook then hands the player the Nook phone, which has a green case, just like in the previous trailer. I want you guys to try and remember this for later on in the video. Speaking of the phone, the apps are actually a little different compared to the last trailer, and we do have one extra one. The items on the crafting screen have also moved around a little bit. I'm not too sure why they would be moved, but they're in a different order now. Just a little thing to note here, I actually just noticed that you can see how large an item is via the numbers in the grid system underneath the item name. This is very handy and it looks like you can build a maximum of a 3x3 object. I think we need to ask Tammy if she's okay. She's just staring at the ground here. The crafting table area in Nook's tent looks a little bit different. The calendar on the back wall has now been replaced with a poster, and there's a little Nook phone crafting icon as a sign. Little side note here, can you guys figure out which bug that is in the back? At first I thought it was a ladybug, but those usually only spawn on flowers. In the player's inventory, we see that the tools all have a star next to them. I'm not too sure what that means exactly, maybe just that they're important, or maybe it's for quick selecting purposes. The next scene is pretty cool because we get our first look at another new hairstyle. It looks to be almost like wavy curls, which is awesome of course. Side note here, that flower crown is absolutely adorable. We go ahead to see another villager here, Filbert, who's carrying a basket, another new item for villagers to carry. So, I'm still on the fence about this whole next bit, however, finally, eating fruit has some purpose. You can see the villager chowing down on an apple, and then the counter in the top left-hand corner of the screen going up. It appears this number decreases again once you shovel up the tree, and this allows you to move trees around. It's going to make outdoor planning so much easier. This isn't exactly new, but we're treated to a couple scenes of the changing weather and time of day, and I have to say, this game looks absolutely gorgeous. People were absolutely freaking out about it last time, so I'll say it again to get back on that hype train. The player is wearing a backpack. In fact, there are actually a lot of different kinds of bags in this trailer if you keep your eyes peeled. The player is wearing a long skirt in the next shot, which is brand new to the series. Antonio is actually holding a book here, which is yet another new interactable item for villagers. The next shot shows the player fishing in the winter with another new bag, a metal fish box. I'm wondering if this is just for aesthetic purposes or if this is specifically for holding a lot of fish. They fast forward to show 8 players hanging out on one island, which is really cool. Something that really excites me is it looks like the host player seems to be near the Dodo Airlines office. I'm really hoping that what this is that you can set multiplayer rules in that office. So, for example, when people come over, they aren't allowed to pick up flowers or pick up objects or, in general, ruin your town. Or island, I guess I should say. This next thing is kind of gone in the blink of an eye, but there is either a fossil or a seashell decoration on the door of that house. Another little thing, do you guys remember earlier I told you to remember that green Nook phone you were given? The player in the back on the right hand side also has a Nook phone, but his has a design on it. I'm really excited if this means that we get to like mix and match or pick phone cases. I believe this next shot is actually our first look at a dig spot and a fossil. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I fully believe the museum will be making a return, but my guess is that because this is a desert island, we're gonna need to build it first. I'm still actually trying to figure out what this could be, and if you guys have any ideas, feel free to leave them down below. But as the player is walking by Pee-wee, there's this huge cluster of mushrooms that's growing. Similar to the fossil or seashell design that we saw on a door earlier, this house actually has a pretty snowflake door design. As someone who's been asking for proper paths in Animal Crossing for years, this really excites me. We see the player placing down paths, which isn't new, we saw that in the older trailer. But then we see them round off the path, which I think is gonna look absolutely amazing. The next scene does show the player throwing down either fish food or bait, similar to in Pocket Camp, which I'm not against that. I think it's a really cool feature, so I'm gonna be looking forward to that. And finally, we see the New Horizons logo. The wood looks much more realistic than before, and it really does fit what we know about the game so far. And that's pretty much the entire trailer. It really seems to me like Nintendo is hiding the majority of the NPCs here, such as series staples like Blathers, KK, and the Able Sisters. I'm positive we'll see what they're up to soon enough, though. I think Nintendo is doing an absolutely amazing job with this game, and I'm happy to see how much they have to show for just 3 months of work. March 20th, 2020 cannot come soon enough, however, I'm sure we'll be there before we know it. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to stick around. I cover mainly Animal Crossing games here and on my Twitch channel. Thank you all so very much for watching, and remember, this has been Simply Press Start, where gaming is as simple as pressing start.